logistics podcast that's out here to help 10,000 reps to hit a million GP. I'm your co-host, Ryan Mohammed. With me is my amazing co-host, my man, the main man, president and CEO and founder of RGTX Logistics Solutions, Jeff Dickinson. How you doing this morning, brother?
Good, my man. How about yourself? I can't believe it's already Tuesday. You know, it was a fast weekend, and here we are on day 2 of prospecting. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
I gotta say, we got some really, really good feedback yesterday. I got a bunch of messages, truthfully saying that this is what they kind of needed, for the cold calling, what we're talking about, and the differences in what we say, right, and the way that we kind of handle things. So I thought it was awesome. How it wasn't as good. Like our episode was great, but it wasn't so good for Brady last night. I woke up this morning to seeing that he's out of the playoffs for the first time. It's crazy, man. Jeff, what are your kind of thoughts from yesterday?
I'll tell you what. First and foremost, what we're talking about is so highly subjective. It really is. Different approaches and everything like that. But to get to Brady, I think this is his last year. He had not a stellar year, man. He was below 500, and he wasn't on target last night. I mean, he was so off. It was
crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But he's still the GOAT. I mean, whether you like him or dislike him, he's still the GOAT. He can go off into the sunset and retire as the best quarterback that ever played the game, and don't feel bad about it.
100%. And I love when legends like the GOATs, they leave on their own terms and then they go in that shadow. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but Kobe Bryant in his last game, rest in peace, he scored like 70 points in his last game. So everyone was like, oh my God, he can come back next season, all that stuff. But like he hung it up at like the highest highs. And I was kind of like seeing like champions kind of retire after they win a championship, because it's like, what engages you to come back? I know you want to repeat or things like that, but if you're in the twilight of your career, it's going there. But let's get to emails. Emails.
It's like the mind says yes and the body says no.
Yep. Yeah. That's a song, right? Like I think the R. Kelly song. But emailing to me, Jeff, I'm gonna preface by saying this is probably one of my favorite channels of using. I've closed a lot of customers. Actually, my top customer that I have right now is because I close them through email campaigning. And we're going to talk about different methods of emails, and we want to kind of get interactive with everybody here today. So Jeff, there's two ways I've always kind of seen email. One was the way that I kind of got started, and then the second way is the way I do it now. The first way, and I'm not a fan of it, and I know you're not going to be a fan of it, but I'd like to get your thoughts. So we'll start with the spray and pray method of emailing. So what that means is that you have a script. Doesn't matter what your script is, and honestly, all you're doing is that you're just changing the first name. So you're sending out that message to everybody. Jeff, let's get started, brother. What are your thoughts on the spray and pray?
It's garbage. I mean, it really is. It doesn't tell you the person receiving that email who you are as an individual. It's canned. I mean, completely canned. And the smart shippers out there, I can tell you right now, know this. They'll go on the internet, and especially the newbies, and they'll find out, how do I engage with a new shipper through email? And what they'll do is literally copy and paste what it is, change the name of the person, the company, everything falls into place, and it's long. It's not like short.
It's long.
Shippers aren't going to read that whole garbage there. If you don't grab their attention in the first line, you're lost. Period. And again, everything starts on the subject line. Yes. Everything starts on the subject line. It's not really what's in the body of the email. And I'm just saying that as a receiver. Have I sent out emails for prospects last year? No. Not a single one. Just being absolutely honest. I just don't believe in it, because, again, I have this problem of always sitting in the shipper's seat and what I want to see when it opens up in my email. And I just can't do that. I mean, because I know I just have that feeling of every single shipper out there, because I have that empathy that it's just not going to work. So I try to differentiate myself by doing other things. But I
100%.
don't know,
So
what are your thoughts on that? I
yeah,
mean,
I feel like I could talk all show about this, but because I love emails. So let's break down exactly what you said. First thing about subject lines. I just want to talk to everybody about subject lines. What works for me is keeping my subject line less than 5 words, and it has to be something that kind of catches them. There has to be a hook. So, for example, I'll talk to you about a customer that I recently just started a conversation with, and we're moving forward into the next steps of moving shipments. But I saw her LinkedIn. I took a look. She actually has like a dog organization as well. I think she works in a shelter and stuff like that. I literally put my subject line as "I want to pet your dogs." And that was my subject line. And part of the email I personalized. We'll get to personalizing in the second part of the episode, but I kind of want to talk about the spray and pray. Want to preface by saying this, that everybody can be successful no matter what. It doesn't matter what method you go into.
right.
Everything will work for different people, right? But when it comes to spray and pray, I'm not a fan of it. Like you said, it's a canned message, but it's always going to be the same kind of message that shippers see. And that message always says, "Hey, I have X amount of power units. We've been in business for things X amount of years. We're the best." And it's always going to accompany like an attachment of like your company profile. Um, I don't really think that shippers, and Jeff, maybe you can talk about the smart shippers. Like, I don't think shippers care about those attachments. Like they're not opening them up. They're not, unless they were to open, like I was to say, hey, hey Jeff, this is for you, and you open it up, and let's say there's a picture of you or your company there, something that's personalized to your business, rather than, hey, this is X company that got started in X year. We have X amount of employees. We love team culture. We're all about that, and kind of going from there. So when it comes to canned messages, it does work, but to go with volume. So if you're going for volume, then I would recommend that, because you can bang out like 250 to 300 emails a day. Is it going to be successful? I don't think so. It's not that from there. But so just breaking that, coming back to subject lines, keep it under 5 words. For spray and pray, I feel like Jeff, and maybe I know you said you didn't send out any emails, but I want to role play with you here as well. Spray and pray could work if you're only going after a niche section of shippers. So let's say if you're going all on, sorry, if you're all going after automotive or something like that, you tailor that message and you're completely canned from there. But with that being said, like I said, it's not for me, and I'd love to get your thoughts when you got like those. Like you could easily tell what's canned and what's not, right? So what were the mindset when you got one of those and you opened one of those, Jeff?
Here we go again. I mean, and I speak on behalf of a lot of shippers out there, because they're looking for something that's unique, something that just grabs their attention in that first sentence, something, and it's not freight. I mean, again, like I said to you earlier, is so subjective. There's a lot of brokerage and freight brokerages out there that will, say that's a wrong statement, Jeff. We've done it all the time. We've been very successful.
Yeah.
But the way that I look at it is this: if you do the spray and pray, what's the high likelihood of how many times do you do that? You're going to do it like multiple times, like a month, every couple of weeks, maybe every single month, going out to the same people. They're going to get red flag. They're going to remember that. They see a lot of smart shippers out there. They see that email address, boom, it goes right into the garbage. I mean, just like that. You're red flag. So you might get lucky, but just think about all the other possibilities that you're going to lose if you attack them a different way with a different strategy that might have opened up a door for you on those. Because, it's like the first impression is a lasting one. So if you go out and you see that, what's going to change that recipient's mind that you're going to act different if they even spoke to you? It's going to be the same stuff. So that's why you've got to change it up, at least the way that I look at it.
Yeah, and And just so like as we're kind of talking about being subjective, like it's going to be different for every single person here.
It
So
will be.
what we're trying to give you what we've done and what's worked for us, and test. I think that's the most important thing, especially with the mindset that we were talking about this whole week. Is like, hey, you just come out of training, you had your planning last week, you're getting into the trenches right now, you're making those calls and you're making those email campaigns. And Jeff, for me, like I said, the spray and pray did work for a certain time, but it kind of transitioned into the raving customers campaign for email campaigns that I think works a lot. So when it comes to raving customers, I love when it comes down to, um, as Jeff is kind of saying here, I actually learned this from a good friend, Chad. And raving customers, Jeff, can you actually tell me like what's like the top five brands that you like?
Oh my God. I like so many. It's just, you always ask me these frequent questions. I mean, it really all depends. I can't really.
I just give me one, just off the top of your head. It doesn't have to be your favorite, but just give me one brand.
Pepsi. All right, I
Pepsi.
don't
Okay,
drink it, but Pepsi.
Pepsi. Okay, Pepsi. Right. So if you're a fan of Pepsi, what the Raven fans campaign looks like, you find out obviously you're obviously going to be prospecting Pepsi, and you give them an example. You give them an example, something like sending a picture with a Pepsi can in your hand, or maybe wearing some merch, or going to like their website and doing some recording. So my friend Chad, who was telling me about this Raven fans campaign, he lost a lot of weight using like these protein powders and pre-workouts. He
Yeah.
literally took a picture of his before and after, and he sent it to like the marketing manager. He didn't even send it to the logistics manager. He's like, look, this is what this product has done for me. I'm such a fan. I love this product. Let's go. And then they forwarded and they closed it and they did business other ways. But he never talked freight in like his email campaign, and he was a raving fan. So like when you're coming back to talk about Pepsi, for me, if I was going to prospect Pepsi, I would do it the same way. I would basically send a picture, say, hey, really love your products. This is what we have. Take a picture in the store, take a picture of the palette of Pepsi in the store, be like, I'd love to be a part of this. How can I get involved? Right. And you're a raving fan because, a lot of people, they'll tell their friends and their family about bad experiences they've had versus the good experience. They kind of expect like when's the last time you went to like a restaurant and like you had really good service and like, oh my God, let me tell somebody about it. But
Oh,
you went to
I go online and I post my reaction. I try to help people out. I think that's a good publicity. I mean, it could be a bad one or it could be a good one. So it puts the pressure on the one who's the service provider to actually provide some excellent service because that's going to travel. Somebody's word of mouth. Somebody's going to say something, whatever, put it on the internet, and boom, it's either going to make you or break you. So you want to be consistent. So that's very true.
That's very true, and that's where you want to be in the referral of the raving fans campaign, and that's where I kind of lean into like what I do for my emails is personalization. So I'm going to preface by saying I use Lavender.ai. Lavender AI is basically an email tool that I pay monthly for, and what it does is that you'll write an email and it'll basically judge you. It'll say, okay, you're too late. It's too wordy here. It's basically kind of like an AI tool to look at it. And one of the favorite tools I love, and this is not a paid promotion. I wish it would because I'd love a free membership.
Yeah, a new sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. But one of my favorite things about Lavender is that it gives when you write that email, it shows up like how it would show up on a cell phone. And people need to understand that. And I saw an article yesterday where saying that everybody was off for MLK Day yesterday. 90% of people are going to be looking at emails through a cell phone. They're not going to be looking at it through their desktop because they're off, right? So you want to ensure that you're sending emails that are not too wordy. For Lavender, Jeff, my emails are less than 50 words, the actual body of the email. It's low friction. So what I start with a fact. I don't even introduce myself because at the end of the day, they can click that link in my signature. They can see the email. They know what company I'm calling from or I'm emailing from. And just a low friction ask, hey, I'm never asking for time. I feel like in emails, you should never ask for 30 minutes of time because 30 minutes is a lot, Jeff. Can you talk about a little bit about that? Because you don't have that time. You don't have that time to give everybody 30 minutes.
You don't. It really all depends. All right. If you're zeroing in on mom and pop shipping, with a small facility that you just want to do LTL and everything, they'll be more than happy to talk to you. I mean, because they're not that busy,
Yep.
They're more on the board side. But if you get up into like Ford Motor Company or Konica Minolta Imaging, Hitachi. You get into the big ones like I managed. They don't have the time. They do not have the time. There's so many moving parts in those big operations that you're getting pulled left and right. And if you have 2 minutes, that's a lot of time. Seriously, that's a lot of time, because there's not a time in the day that you are not busy just sitting there twiddling your thumbs, you know? So it depends on who you're going after. And that's the strategy, right? In the approach of how you're going to approach different prospects. You know, you have to have that. You can't attack all the same way.
No.
You know, you're not going to attack $1 million company the way you did $1 billion company. There's no way that, you know, it's just not going to work. So be cognizant of that. And how do you find that out? Do your homework, do your research, you know, find out if you have any connections to that person, because who knows, you reaching out to somebody, they have a connection, and you could say, hey, you know what, I'm connected. Maybe they know something about Bob, you know, and you say, hey, tell me a little bit about Bob. You know, I'm going to reach out to him and whatever. Is there some things I should stay away from or whatever? And if you're a really good connection with that person or have one, they'll be more than happy to say, hey, you know what? Listen, let me do the legwork. I know him really, really well. I'm going to tell him your name and tell him that you're going to reach out to him sometime this week. Boom. That's it. No, there's no better way.
There is. And when it comes to emails, just exactly like that. I love that. I love prefacing the email saying, hey, I'm not spam. Bob from so-and-so sent me, you know, and then that kind of opens up their eyes a little bit. And they're like, okay,
but it takes time to get there, because Bob's not going to be available if you're a newbie and you're just getting into the industry, but you've got to create those Bobs and Sallys.
So I think so. If you're brand new into the industry, I'm a big believer in going the personalized method. I know Scott is here, and I love to get his mentality of how he handles email campaigns. But I think it's really important